Good morning. It is such a great day to have synchronicity. I am so excited for our next guest. We are joined with Dr. Cunningham. Dr. Cunningham, good morning. How are you today?
Hi, good morning. How are you doing, Shakira?
I am doing well. I'm so glad that you carved out some time to spend with us today. So let's just jump right in. I want to know if you can just tell us about yourself and especially highlighting Black mental wellness.
Yes, absolutely. So, again, my name is Dr. Dana Cunningham. I am a clinical psychologist and am in the Maryland area. And for with Black Mental Wellness, we've been working together since 2017. We have a team of other Black female psychologists who make up Black Mental Wellness, and our goal is to really help to bring light and information to the community about Black mental health in particular. And all of our team members are extremely passionate about uplifting the Black community and really sharing information and resources about mental health. We have a lot of information that we share to the community on our website and via our social media channels. We also have an ambassador program where we have individuals from across the country who work with us to help reach people within their community and also just throughout the country, again, sort of spreading the information about mental health and wellness. We also have a mentoring program where we pair up graduate and undergraduate students with behavioral health providers, again, throughout the United States. It's a virtual program. So we are also really passionate about really helping our young people advance in their careers and professionally and through school. Really want to help mentor the next generation of behavioral health professionals. So we're busy. We also have an annual conference. We have a book that'll be coming out soon. So we have a lot of stuff going on.
Oh, that sounds amazing. Such an amazing initiative. I am in love with pouring into young professionals, right? There is not enough of us in this field. So I always get excited when I hear that there are young people, undergrads, graduates that are looking for degrees and careers in behavioral health, because that has been working with clients. The biggest challenge that I've been hearing is to be paired with someone that kind of looks like them and understands or can come from a level of understanding of where they may have been. So that's exciting. Definitely here.
Yes. Yeah. And if there's any students who are interested in applying, our mentoring application for mentees will be open in May. So the month of May is usually when we start accepting applications. And right now, throughout the end of March, we will be accepting applications for mentors. So please stay tuned. Yes, for that.
Yes, good stuff. So, Dr. Cunningham, could you shed some light on stigma and mental health in the Black community? What are your thoughts on this, and why is it important that we try to destigmatize mental health in our community?
Yeah, it is extremely important. Unfortunately, within the Black mental health community, stigma is one of the factors that does, unfortunately, prevent people from seeking services, even though they may need them. And so we know that those thoughts about seeking mental health care have come from, oftentimes our families maybe have given us messages when we were growing up about, what happens in the house stays in the house, or, you don't need anybody else to help you solve your problems. We can do it here, or, maybe just pray it away and, you'll feel better, or, feeling that you have to be strong and you can't show, some people feel like, seeking therapy is a sign of weakness. And so, there's a lot of messages that have been infused throughout our community that unfortunately serve as inhibitors for people seeking mental health care. And it's also important to note that the reasons for some people not seeking health care is because the health care system, the medical system, has, historically not treated Black people with respect, with dignity, and has often harmed a lot of people. So it's not just, those thoughts are not just invalid in terms of feeling like, this may not be a safe place for me to seek services. However, there are a lot of providers who are trained and culturally competent or exhibiting cultural humility who are able to support and uplift members of the Black community. So we have to do work on both ends, right, in terms of changing the system and also changing some of the messaging around seeking mental health.
Yeah, really good. And you were really speaking to my heart, just thinking about growing up in the Black community and how we were told what happens in the house stays in the house. And you're not supposed to trust people outside of the house, especially professionals, and just take it to the cross, right? That's all you need to do is take it to the cross. So we were socialized from an early age to just kind of like, to not go outside of our home or not go outside of our church with our unique issues that may have been coming up. And thinking about the healthcare system, it can be at times traumatizing, right? Do you think you can talk about how trauma impacts the Black community?
Sure, absolutely. So trauma impacts the Black community in so many ways. So just to back up, so trauma occurs when you experience or witness an event that threatens your sense of safety, and there is just a lasting and adverse reaction to that event. So when we even think about that, just in terms of that definition of even just witnessing an event, right? We know how much trauma occurs within the communities where Black people live. So when we think about community violence, how many students, are experiencing, violence that they see in their neighborhood. And I say students because I do a lot of work with young people in schools. So, thinking about on their way to school, how many incidents of crime are they witnessing, or in school, right? Or even within many of our urban communities, we know about police brutality, right? And seeing that, experiencing that, and racial trauma. Black people experience racial trauma. Racial trauma is real. And so when we experience these repeated incidents of harm where we feel threatened, the lives of someone we love is threatened, we lose that sense of safety and security. And then the impacts of that, we know that trauma shows up in our moods and how we engage, with depression or anxiety, physical symptoms as well, right? And so we see, even within the Black community, higher rates of things like heart disease or, high blood pressure. And then, people are sort of wondering, what are these disparities about, or where are they coming from? We have to look at some of these other external experiences as being racism, namely one being a root cause of a lot of these other mental health and physical health symptoms that a lot of people are experiencing. Largely thinking about that trauma is an important piece.
Yeah, definitely. And so just piggybacking off of that a little bit, could you speak on race-based traumatic stress? What is that, and how can we be on the lookout for if that is happening?
Yep. And that race-based traumatic stress really is derived from experiencing, those symptoms due to a stressor that happens because of your race. So when we think about discrimination or bias, some people call them microaggressions. You may experience repeatedly somebody saying something like, "Oh, you talk so proper for, a Black woman," or, you go into an office and, they say, "Oh, could I speak to Dr. Cunningham?" I'm like, "No, I am the doctor," right? Experiencing these things, right, day in and day out. Or even we think about systemic racism, we think about policies and practices that are harmful to Black people. So higher rates of incarceration, right, within the Black community. So all of these experiences are examples of race-based stress where you feel devalued because of your race. And so it's just something that unfortunately does not get a lot of attention from other people. If you go to someone and say, I'm feeling stressed out, or, I'm feeling overwhelmed, and, you kind of start talking about, and when I say other people, people oftentimes, if you may talk to a counselor or a therapist who may not have that knowledge about some of the experiences that are happening within the Black community. You know, it may be dismissed, right? You go to your doctor, you go to a mental health professional, and they may say, oh, you're just having a bad day, right? And sort of dismiss those experiences. And that just compounds what is already existing in terms of that feeling of, feeling devalued or feeling dismissed. And so it is definitely an important area that definitely needs a lot of attention. Again, really addressing things from a systemic way, thinking about how we can improve training and access to care, and just really ensuring that the individuals within our community are able to get the help that they need.
Yeah, really good. Thank you for that. Great definition and information. So, Dr. Cunningham, in thinking of wellness, how would you define wellness? What does that even mean?
Wellness to me is a multi-dimensional concept, right? It's sometimes we think of wellness as, oh, I'm gonna get my hair done, I'm gonna get my nails done, right? And that's fine, that's good if that makes you feel happy, brings you joy. I support it, I do it too. But we have to think about wellness in the context beyond that, so that, you know, may help you feel emotionally well. But we also have to think about our physical wellness, our financial wellness, our spiritual wellness, occupational wellness, right? Like, how are we able to really thrive and not just survive on a day-to-day basis, right? We want to be able to really have our cups not just full, but overflowing. Because when we are able to have, when our cups are overflowing, we're able to give more to others and show up for other people in the way that we would like to be, which can be challenging, right? If we're not attending to those dimensions of our wellness, because then we are not able to show up as our best possible selves.
Yeah, good. And so thinking about having that cup that's overflowing, what are some examples? What would you give as examples of some positive coping strategies?
I like, deep breathing is one that I like, because you can do it anywhere, anytime, any place. Deep breathing is one. Sometimes it's just moving, right? Especially now, we spend so much time just sitting. Sometimes moving, whatever that means to you, whether that's exercise, whether that's going for a walk in the park, taking your dog for a walk. Sometimes you need to be still, right? That's also an important wellness strategy for people whose lives are just always on the go. Sometimes it is important just to, sort of shut down, put down the phone, shut down social media, just sort of have some time where you can really dedicate to yourself and feel rejuvenated. And I think everybody obviously is different, and everyone has to find their own strategy for what works for them in terms of improving their wellness. But I think it is important to just really make sure we all have kind of a wellness plan in terms of, how are we going to address our wellness needs?
Yes, I love that, a wellness plan. So I was meeting with a client yesterday, and new client, young person, young girl of color, and she said to me, she was like, I don't really think sitting talking about my problems is helpful. And I was just like, oh, good. Wow. So if someone said that to you, how would you respond to that? And why do you think people should seek out mental health treatment?
I would have a lot of questions before I would answer, right? Like, so I would want to know, have they tried it before? And, oftentimes when people say that, either they had an experience that did not go well, or, perhaps sitting with themselves sometimes can be uncomfortable, right? Because then it starts to uncover some things that maybe they're not really ready to uncover. And some people also are able to heal through additional means other than talking, right? So, I was talking before about, movement. So some people may really find more benefit from movement. So maybe, yoga, or maybe being in community with other people is a healing, can be a healing practice for some people. So everybody's mental health and wellness journey is so unique. It is important to find what helps you. And, I think it's just really critical that we are also with the right provider, right? Because sometimes people have these experiences and they walk away that are negative, and they walk away from therapy feeling like this isn't helpful. This isn't for me. I'm not going to go talk to anybody again because last time I did it, it wasn't helpful.
Right.
So this is pointless. And so, again, I think that speaks a lot to our training needs and really making sure that you're with a provider that is a good fit for you. So we have on our website a list of questions that people can ask a provider if they're seeking services. One of the things we often say is like finding the right therapist is like trying to find that perfect pair of jeans, right? Because sometimes you get them and maybe the waist is a little too tight or a little too loose or, too long. You got to get them hemmed, you know what I mean? So there's so many things that we need to think about and thinking about what's going to be a good fit for us.
Yeah, really good. Good advice. Yes, and it's hard to find them right pair of jeans.
Yes.
I'm still searching.
Me too. It's never ending journey.
It's a hard one. So, Dr. Cunningham, what are some of the things that you currently utilize? What are your stress reduction techniques?
I'm one of those movement people, so I like to exercise. I, especially during the pandemic, that my basement turned into my gym. So I have a bike down there, I have weights down there. So that is like where I go. And it engages me in a way where, if I'm really focused on my workout, I can't think about anything else. I'm focused on, my reps, my weights, my, whatever. So I'm paying attention to who's on the video screen, that I'm, routine that I'm following. And so it also helps you feel, stronger, more emotionally grounded and centered, right? So that's helpful for me. And I talked about breathing earlier. Breathing I love because the deep breathing, there's so many different breathing strategies that you can utilize, and you don't need any equipment. Like you don't need anything special. You can breathe anywhere, anytime. And so that is one that I oftentimes rely on as well. Like if I'm noticing, if I'm getting upset about something or something's happening, I'm feeling nervous or anxious, I can just be really intentional about focusing on my breath, whether that be like I'm just going to take 5 deep breaths in, or I try to get a little fancy. Maybe I hold it for 2 seconds, before I exhale or whatever. So I love that. I love mindfulness practices, where you're really intentional about tuning into what's happening around you and just being fully present. That's also really helpful for me.
Yeah, good stuff. I love the breath as well. And that's what I say. That's our natural reset button.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Just slows things down enough for us to bring some clarity as to what's happening in the moment. So tips, really good tips. So Dr. Cunningham, what else would you like to share with us? What have we not talked about this morning that you want to make sure we have?
Yeah, so definitely want to make sure everybody goes to our website. As I mentioned earlier, it's actually, I don't know if I gave you a website, but it's blackmentalwellness.com. We have a lot of resources on there, fact sheets, information about coping skills, all sorts of resources. And I'm excited to say, if you also go to our website, you can pre-order our book. So my colleagues from Black Mental Wellness collaborated with another professional, Farzana Salim, and we have co-authored a book to help young people deal with racial stress. And so it will be available on August 1st, but you can access it now for pre-orders on our website. We will also have an annual conference every November. So the first Saturday in November will be our next conference. So be on the lookout for that. If you go to our website, you can sign up to subscribe to our newsletter, so you'll be in the know for all the information and all the things that are happening with Black Mental Wellness. You can also follow us on social media. Black Mental Wellness is our tagline on Facebook and on Instagram.
Wonderful. I will make sure that all that information is pinned under your video. I thank you so much for getting up and having tea with us today. The information that you shared was so valuable. My wish and my goal for you is to continue to be brave, be magical, and be well. Thank you so much, Dr. Cunningham from Black Mental Wellness. You have a good day.
Thanks so much. Enjoy your day as well.